A violent murder stuns an upscale community just north of New York City. A respected pediatrician, Dr. Robin Goldman, was found stabbed to death Wednesday in her Scarsdale mansion.
And police believe her husband is the killer. Crimesider's Graham Cates has been looking into that murder. Graham, what did police say happened yesterday?
Police say they received a call from Jules Reich. They say he called 911. He said that a female had been hurt seriously and that there wasn't much other information given on that call. They said they responded within minutes, and they found Goldman stabbed to death in her shower. And they arrested Reich at the scene. He was taken in for questioning last night, and he was charged earlier today.
Now, Reich is actually a tax attorney in New York City, but we also know that he filed for divorce. What factor is that playing in here?
It seems pretty clear that that's going to be kind of what they consider to be the motive in this, but they haven't said specifically, look, this was an estranged couple and they were fighting about divorce or anything like that, but they were estranged. He had filed for divorce last summer, and the next thing we know, police are arresting him for his wife's murder.
Yeah, there hasn't been sorry, you were going to ask.
Well, I was just going to describe Scarsdale.
Yeah,
it's
a quiet community, right? I mean, it's a wealthy community, but very quiet. They haven't had a homicide there in years. 40
years or so, actually. It's been about 4 decades. Scarsdale is kind of one of the more famous of New York City's very wealthy suburbs. It's pretty well known. You can see this is his house. It's enormous, and it's pretty par for the course in Scarsdale. And that's kind of the big surprise here. You just don't ever, if you're a police reporter, get calls to Scarsdale.
Well, I know just the fact, too, that you have an attorney and a doctor in this scenario is quite shocking, too, and just all the people in the community that know them. You know, she was a pediatrician. All of the families that are now affected.
That's right. Our local affiliate spoke to a security guard who knew her, and he said he just couldn't believe someone like her would be the victim of murder. And that's kind of the idea. It's just a place where if you move there, you expect you're going to be safe from murder.
It's also interesting, I mean, that she was stabbed in the shower, and it's almost, I mean, I'm sure, I don't know what, has he pled anything yet? Has he said anything? Has he, the husband, is there anything on the record from him?
I'm actually not totally clear on that. I spoke to the Westchester DA, and they said that they were trying to figure out if he had an attorney at the arraignment. Right. They were considering doing it over again just to make sure. So I'm not totally clear on that part. And, again, when we talk about the fact that Scarsdale is this kind of community, it always brings up the idea that domestic violence is one of the things we never talk about when we talk about murder, but it's really prevalent. And again, the police are saying that this was a domestic violence situation that became deadly.
Do you know whether or not they can confirm that it was him actually in the house when this murder took place? Was he the person that called 911?
That's what police sources are saying, is that that they believe it was him who called 911.
Yeah, they'll be able to, I guess, figure out forensically, once they figure out when exactly she died, when they do the autopsy, and when he placed the call. That will also give police some insights into how it may have happened.
Yeah, they can look at his cell phone. I mean, there's a variety of ways they can narrow that down.
All right, Graham Cates, thank you.
Remember, you can track investigations and read up on the big crime stories of the day at cbsnews.com/Crimesider. A Texas woman accused of running one of the nation's largest sex trafficking rings will spend the rest of her life behind bars. Hortensia Mendeles-Arquello was sentenced in a federal court Wednesday after being convicted last spring.
The operation went on for more than a decade. Prosecutors say the organization smuggled girls into the U.S. from Mexico and Central America by promising to marry them once they got to the U.S. But instead, the girls were forced into prostitution at a brothel above a cantina. 13 other people connected to the ring have all pleaded guilty to charges in connection with this case.